Lesson 7.4, Solving Using the Quadratic Formula. When we graphed quadratic formulas, we graphed equations of the form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. When we solve quadratic functions, we solve what's called a related function. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So the y gets removed and the 0 gets put in. This allows us to find our roots, which is the location where the graph crosses the x-axis. As we'd seen previously, these equations can sometimes be solved by factoring. However, not every quadratic expression can be factored. There are expressions that are unfactorable. There are two ways to solve quadratic equations that cannot be factored. The first is by completing the square, and the second is through the use of the quadratic formula. In this lesson, we're going to use the quadratic formula, and we'll actually complete the square in a later lesson. The first step in learning how to use the quadratic formula is to learn the quadratic formula, so to actually know the formula. The quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, and all of that divided by 2a. The letters in the formula correspond to the numbers in the quadratic equation. So the standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. So the a's, b's, and c's here is this a, this b, and this c. Just the a portion, you take the x away. Just the b portion, you take the b away, or the x away. The coefficients a, b, and c are the numbers that get plugged into the formula. So I have two techniques to memorize the quadratic formula that I think are very effective. They are by no means the only way to memorize the formula. If you know a good way to memorize, feel free to use whatever method you think works. But for me, these two seem to work the best. The first was a song. And if we listen to the tune of Pop Goes the Weasel, this is the song that you'll be singing. So, starting with the tune. Sounds familiar, right? So now we can actually sing the quadratic equation to the song, Pop Goes the Weasel, and it goes like this. Oops. X equals a negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So as you sing the song, you actually are reading the equation. So let's do this one more time. X equals a negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And if songs, or if you're musically inclined, this will work for you. I know for me, it's one of those things. It's like the song on the radio when you're about to get out of the car that you don't even like, and then it gets stuck in your head all day. Keep singing this and you'll have the same exact effect. Another way to memorize the quadratic formula is through the use of a story. And we have a negative boy, couldn't decide whether or not to go to the radical party, but he was square. So he missed out on 4 awesome chicks, and it was all over by 2 a.m. You just need to remember, put x equals in front. So again, a negative boy couldn't decide whether or not to go to the radical party, but he was square, so he missed out on 4 awesome chicks, and it was all over by 2 a.m. Once we know the formula, we can use it to solve quadratic equations. So first we identify this is A, this is B, and this is C. Then we have our formula. X equals a negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So what I'll do next is I'll plug in my numbers. Negative b. Well, b is negative 5. So I have a negative 5 plus or minus the square root of negative 5 squared minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is 3, all over 2 times a, which is 2 again. Now we use our order of operations. So our first step is to plug in. Our second step is to simplify with order of operations. Okay, so minus a negative, that's happy, so that's going to give me a positive 5. Now I need to do what's under the square root before I can take the square root of it. So I have negative 5 squared is 25. Negative 4 times 2 is 8. Times 3 is 16. Oh, sorry, 24, not 16. And then 2 times 2 is 4. So I have 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 minus 24 is 1 over 4. Now we split. We split it into a plus or minus. I have 5, well, sorry, I should take the square root first. 5 plus or minus 1 over 4. The square root of 1 is 1. Now we split. I have 5 plus 1 over 4, and I have 5 minus 1 over 4. 5 plus 1 over 4 gives me 6 over 4. 5 minus 1 over 4 gives me 4 over 4, and that will give me 3 over 2, or 1. And these are my solutions for x. Okay, trying another one. If I have no number, it's an invisible one, so I have a, b, and c. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Negative 5, because b is 5. 5 squared minus 4, a is 1, c is negative 6 over 2 times a, which is 1. That gives me negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 plus 24. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4 times negative 6 is positive 24. 2 times 1 is 2. So I have 5 plus or minus the square root of 49 over 2. That gives me 5 plus or minus 7 over 2. So I have 5 plus 7 over 2, and I have 5 minus 7 over 2. This will give me 12 over 2 and negative 2 over 2, which will give me 6 or negative 1. Those are my two solutions. These are the points where the parabola would cross the x-axis. Another example, a, b, and c. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. What I would like you to do is go ahead and pause the video, plug these in, and see if you can work it out. When you're done, come back, unpause the video, and check your answer, compare it to mine. Okay, now that you've had a chance to solve it, go ahead and look and see if you got the same answers that I did. If you didn't, look through the steps. I did all of the steps and see if you can find the mistake. Okay, sometimes we get an equation that's not set equal to 0, so our first step needs to be to make sure it's set equal to 0. So I'm going to move the 18 over. And this is really important because we're using c, and c is not positive 18, c is negative 18. From here, we can go ahead and solve the equation. So I have negative 4 plus or minus the square root of negative 4 squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. He's happy, so that's positive 4, 16, and then I need to do 4 times 8 times 18, which is plus 576 over 16. 576 plus 16 is 592 over 16. Now what I have is a non-perfect square. When this occurs, we need to simplify it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the square root of 592 and I'm going to make a factor tree of 592. So it's even, so I know it will divide by 2, and that gives me 296, which will divide by 2 again to give me 148, which will divide by 2 again to give me 74, which will again divide by 2, and that gives me 37. I have 2 pairs of 2's, so each of those can come out, one from each pair, and 37 gets left behind. That gives me 4 times the square root of 37. So what I get is 4 plus or minus 4 times the square root of 37 over 16. When this happens, I have to look at these 3 numbers. If all 3 of them will reduce, I can reduce this fraction. 4, 4, and 16 will all divide by 4, leaving me with a 1, and a 4. So afterwards, I have 1 plus or minus the square root of 37 over 4. Now, if you are asked to provide a decimal answer, we can take the fraction, or the decimal, plug 592 into the calculator, take the square root of it, and you get 4 plus or minus 24.33. Now it's not just 0.33, but I'm rounding over 16. So I get 4 plus 24.33 over 16, and 4 minus 24.33 over 16. And for the sake of space, 24.33 plus 4 is 28.33. Divided by 16, that gives me 1.77. And then 4 minus 24.33 is negative 20.33. Divided by 16 is negative 1.27. So I can have decimal answers, or I can have an exact answer. Now this answer is exact. This answer is approximate because we rounded for the decimals.